He gets away from Kante, plays down the line for Suarez. 98 team of the year, Suarez.
He's a big
past
chance.
Ramos.
Suarez, what's he going to do? Tries to feed it back. Is that going to come to Ronaldo? Just trying to get a foot on that, maybe. Hullet now, the man that Bullock loves. Half turn there from Torres. Vieira back to Suarez on the finesse, and there we have it. The Bullock is in London. He turns around, he celebrates. The Bullock, he had a plan and he's performed it.
You're listening to the FUT Champions podcast with Richard and Brandon.
What's going on? Welcome to the FUT Champions podcast. Welcome back to week 2 of the show now. A big thank you for the support on the first week of the show over on obviously Mixcloud, iTunes and YouTube. The support has been fantastic. We're approaching 1,000 followers on Twitter as well. So a big thank you to everyone out there that has been supporting the show, etc. like that. We've got lots coming up on today's show. The big talking point of hashtag FIXFifa. Everyone seems to have their own points about that. We've got a special guest on the show again today, a 40-0 player. Someone that is on track for a very good qualification month this November. We'll also be going over a number of other points, some of the stuff you've been tweeting in as well. But obviously next to me is that man, Richard Buckley. Richard, hello mate, how's it going?
Yeah.
How's your weekend been? Has it been a stressful one?
It was actually very stressful. I was 8-0 on Friday. I was like, you know what? When's hashtag United going to sign me? I then went 8-3, contemplated stopping playing. And then Sunday night rolled around, decided to get back on it. I think I was up till about 5:45 in the morning. I think I finished 18-5 or 18-6. And I'm like, you know what? I'll take goal 3. Yeah. I will take goal 3.
At least you've got your re-qualification for next weekend, which is for something. For myself, probably wasn't the best deal. I didn't get all the 40 games done as well. Played a few Friday, played a few Saturday. Record, we probably won't even go there. I think it was probably about 15 to 7 or something like that. It was nothing to be proud of, obviously on the channel. But Rich, have you seen Twitter these last few days? It's been going a bit crazy, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's. I don't want to say it's been a toxic environment of recent on Twitter, but especially over on Reddit, on Twitter, they seem to have come together, and it's all under this hashtag FIXFifa sort of mega thread. If you go over on Reddit and have a read through it, that's what we're going to be cracking into today.
Yeah.
But we've got the main man, the coach, haven't we, Brandon?
We have.
Once again with us.
We have. He was here last week. He's back again this week. Obviously, one of the regular pundits on the show. Colin Johnson, hello mate. How's it going? Obviously, Roma and Fnatic FIFA coach. Welcome to the show, mate.
Thanks for having me again. Felt like first episode went really well. Was really happy with the response from the community, and cautiously optimistic this week about the conversation, diving into this whole FIXFifa thing. But someone has to do it, right?
Obviously so. And obviously, if you are new to the show, it's hashtag FUTChampsPod to get in touch with your thoughts on the show. If you've liked anything you want us to talk about next week. But we're not on our own today. We've got a special guest. We always try and get a top 100 pro in. We've got the main man, hashtag Ryan. Ryan, welcome to the show as well, mate. A big weekend for you just gone by. It's hit a 40-0 on Xbox. Puts you up to 115 wins out of 120 this month. You must be absolutely over the moon so far.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. This weekend was very tough, but puts me in a good spot going into next week. Looking forward to it.
And obviously, if you have just joined into the show as well, this is just solely about FUT Champions, competitive FIFA scene. We're literally just talking about anything that's coming up in the news. But we'll start with FIXFifa. We'll start with the big hashtag, Rich. If anyone doesn't know what FIXFifa is or what this big debate is about, I know you went about it a little bit saying it's quite a toxic debate. What's their main kind of, or what's the point behind this kind of argument?
I've seen a lot of people using it as just a way to air their grievances about the game, whether across all game modes, from career mode to Ultimate Team to head-to-head, to even there's the broken EAS FC catalogue. There's some legitimate issues that just don't work in the game. For example, on pro clubs, you can't play friendly matches. That is a big issue in the game that it needs fixing, in my opinion. And then there are issues like that, and then you go over to the other side, on the Ultimate Team side, you've got a potential issue with matchmaking on FUT Champions, which I'm sure Ryan will break down and give his own views on, and also a lot of people complaining about pack weight, that you don't know what you're getting into with packs. It's just been a huge mess of everyone just throwing their ideas in. I'll give my opinion a little bit later on, but Ryan, I want to jump to you as the pro.
Yeah.
What's your opinion been on it all?
Well, to be completely honest, I was shocked at, how it's taken the community by storm. But if I'm honest, I agree with most things that I said about the game. But I think the main problem for EA is the source of all their problems is their lack of transparency and communication with the community. They seem to let things happen and not address them, and I think that's where their main issue lies.
I think on that point as well, Colin can come into this as well. I think there was a guy from EA that did come out and talk to the community. I think the issue is that a lot of people are doing this hashtag FIXFifa, but no one's stating what they're not happy with or what they want changed. And I'm sure, Colin, you've seen it a lot. I know you came out to Twitter as well and had a little chat as well. It's been a bit tough. I think people are just trying to jump on the bandwagon a little bit and maybe not explaining what is actually up.
Yeah, I mean, that's the problem with the hashtag, in my opinion, is that I feel like some people that are even using the hashtag FIXFifa haven't even read the Reddit post and are just kind of using it to complain about any old thing, whether it's gameplay, whether it's matchmaking, whether it's, drop rates when it comes to packs and stuff like that. I kind of came to Twitter. I didn't want to get too deep into it with the community, but I felt like I was able to kind of explain a couple things to a couple of top 100 and elite players that I think kind of helped them understand a couple things about kind of gameplay and matchmaking that maybe didn't get addressed as well from the EA side of things. But yeah, I agree with Ryan in the fact that it's a problem that the matchmaking isn't as clear as to exactly how it works. And that's where, even some of these other posts, like people saying that the Overwatch competitive structure would work better for us and things like that. But I just think, and I said this last week as well, but I think that EA are kind of pulling the focus away from Weekend League in a lot of ways compared to last year. And I think that they're going to continue to scale down because I think that LANs are really where competitive FIFA, that's where the fan base is going to grow, and that's where you're going to get people in the crowds, and that's where you're going to develop a real fan base, is going to be the people that are actually willing to come out to the tournaments and not necessarily the people that are just sitting and flaming on Twitter.
Go on, Brandon. I think a lot of the people as well who are just aimlessly bashing the game on Twitter, which I've seen quite a lot, nothing will change unless you do something about it, and doing something about it is not going on Twitter and complaining. I'm going to relate back to Call of Duty because I'm a huge Call of Duty fan. When they went to Advanced Warfare and Infinite Warfare, people just stopped buying the game, and what happened a year later, they went back to boots on the ground with World War II. If people were legitimately that annoyed by FIFA, stop playing FIFA. That is literally the answer. But people can't stay away from it because it's their favourite game.
But at the same time, linking in with that, we've seen things, about this big Black Friday, no one buy packs, everyone, don't play the game. Some streamers, I think Dr. Java said, I'm not going to stream, I'm not going to do anything relating to the game. There will be an unbelievable
team of the week today with people will spend hundreds of pounds on packs on Friday when they release lightning rounds. It's an endless circle.
But going on from what you said before about how people stop playing Call of Duty, I guess it's the fact that there's a competitor in that scene with Battlefield that can just buy that game, for example. But with FIFA, there's not really any competitors. Pro Evolution isn't up to that standard. So it's really hard for, I guess, casual players and competitive players to switch onto another game.
Yeah, I think that's the problem as well, is that a lot of people, especially in this community, if they play FIFA, they kind of just play FIFA. A lot of people, exactly. That's their video game, And I spoke about this too when I was speaking at SoccerX a couple months ago, but when you market to a FIFA audience, you can't market to a gaming audience because a lot of FIFA players aren't gamers, really.
They're just
that makes any sense,
fans.
Exactly, they're casual football fans that like to play with Ronaldo and Messi.
I'm also looking here on Twitter as well right now. This is an article that the Daily Mail in England have just released. It reads 5,500 disgusted FIFA 18 fans sign petition demanding the game is fixed. 5,500 FIFA fans are not going to change the game.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
I think I saw, sorry to spot in, I saw a petition maybe 2 days ago that was looking for 1,000 sign-ups and he had 600. So if you're saying 5,500, maybe that's the start of saying. But what I'm interested in, Ryan, let's go back to the beginning of FIFA 18. There's obviously been a lot of updates, a lot of patches in the game. When do you feel like, I know you just hit a 40-0 then, but when do you feel like you've hit your peak in the game? Do you say it's now? Would you say it's maybe a month or two back?
I'd say personally, Well, to be honest, it's hard to judge, but I said at the start of FIFA before the first patch, I thought that was the best edition that there has been in years. I enjoyed that game. I think I only had one loss out of 140 games, albeit on the draft and seasons, but I just think the updates, it's just... I don't know what to say.
So as a pro player, and this could be a message to a lot of casual ones as well, when there is patches, updates, and when there are changes, do you sit back and moan about it, or do you have to just get on with it and adapt?
Not at all, I don't moan. I just have to see what they've changed and then get straight into another game. I just keep practicing and practicing to get used to it. There's no point moaning about it because nothing's going to change if you're just sitting there and just, I guess, complaining
on Twitter.
Yeah, exactly. Nothing's going to help by doing that. You just have to practice and get used to it.
And at the same time, linking in with the packs and stuff, a lot of people say to me, I've had a few people tweeting me before, like with debates saying, like, how can I compete? How can I compete on Weekend League? These guys have got millions of coins teams.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, some players have invested a lot of money into the game at the beginning. Obviously, you're not guaranteed good players, but somewhere down the road, you will get a bit of luck. Do you feel like this year there has been so many chances to get free rewards as well? If you proper grind out the game, you can get some good free rewards.
Completely, because the addition of squad battles this year, just the packs that they offer, just for playing single player, it's not even online, so it's not as competitive. The packs they offer, the rewards you get, completely. I think there's different ways to generate coins this year. You don't necessarily have to spend thousands of pounds or whatever it is, your salary on the game. Like me personally, I spent on the first day 12,000 FIFA points and just spammed drafts just to get used to the game, different formations, and get the better rewards. Me personally, for the last 3 or 4 years, I haven't spent money on the actual packs itself.
Yeah.
Just through draft.
Just linking over to Colin, obviously Colin manages the AS Roma Esports team. What kind of approach did your players have this year, Colin? Was it, right, we're going to invest in some FIFA points, or did they think, all right, yes, we have got the squad battles edition and the drafts that we can, grind out for the first few weeks and take rewards off that as well?
We didn't really standardize it. We kind of let the players choose. What we did was just kind of gave them an allowance, I guess you could say, at the beginning of the game to use however they wanted. And some players just went out and spammed packs. Some players went out and played draft for the first week straight and then maybe used the rest on packs. So that kind of set them up pretty solidly at the beginning of the year. But even when you look at, the amount we invested, there are other people that invested 4 or 5 times the amount, especially like content creators and stuff like that. So it really just comes down to pack luck. And it's actually funny because I this year have had better pack luck than any of my players, and I actually jumped on Poacher's account last week while we were in London and packed Messi on his account. So the pack luck just keeps carrying. That's at a 7.5k pack as well. So yeah, it really does just come down to luck at some point, because at the beginning of the game, if you pack R9, you don't need to spend any more money. Like that pretty much sets you up for the rest of the year. But I definitely agree that there's so many different ways to get to generate coins as well, that a lot of the casuals, you can get there. If you really want to become a professional and you're willing to make the sacrifices and play the game as much, like you can have a good team.
And I'll leave this on to you, Rich. A big talking point that has been obviously talked about a lot on Twitter as well, on social media, is the Weekend League extension. Remember last year, we go back to when it first came out in FIFA 17, it was very difficult to get your games out then, but players were still doing it, they were still making the sacrifices. Then EA obviously made it a longer period. Rich, what's your thoughts on it this year? Do you feel like it needs to be extended again, or will it lose competitiveness? I think it will lose the competitiveness.
I think though that one weekend where a lot of people were struggling to find games on matchmaking and they extended it onto the Monday, I think by 24 hours, and a lot of people said this is perfect, you can play 10 games a day, Friday, Saturday, Sunday and Monday, you've got time to be able to actually play your games, etc. For me, I think Friday, Saturday and Sunday, I think there is enough time, because you see people playing 80 games, the pros. I think for the people who are casual fans, who they might go out on Friday, they might be working Friday, they might go out to the bar Friday night, Saturday they might watch the football, and then they might be going out with friends. They need to make sacrifices if they want to get in them 40 games, and they want to try and, be a pro player. I think for the pro players, there is enough time.
And this can link on with Colin, because we were talking about this before the podcast started. I think you've got some good views on it as well, Colin, is that the Weekend League was made for the competitive scene. If you want to be a competitive player, you have to make sacrifices, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's part of it, like if you look at footballers, if you compare this, if we're saying that this is a competitive esport, this is what people are doing for their living, like there's a lot of people that maybe are students and are pro players at the same time, but like a lot of the top players are like full-time, you know, like this is their career. And if you think about, like, let's say Christian Pulisic, right? He was 17 years old in America, and he left America to come to Europe and sacrificed everything, his friends, his family, like his entire livelihood, to become a professional footballer, and it's paid off for him. So if you believe that you're good enough at the game, you know, like, make the time, find the time to play the game. Because honestly, like, it might sound harsh, but I don't feel too sorry for people that are saying, oh, I have a job that I have to work. Then maybe Weekend League isn't for you. Maybe that game mode is not for you. Because if you want to do it, you can make the time, you can make the sacrifices. I made sacrifices to work in esports as well. You know, like, I lived with family for months to be able to reach the position that I'm in. So, you know, like, no one's going to hand you a professional FIFA career. Like, you have to work for it. Exactly. And I get really frustrated too when I see a lot of people on Twitter saying that a lot of the club players and people that are part of organizations, you know, just kind of landed there, you know. And, you know, when they get these invites to tournaments that, you know, oh, they don't deserve them. Yeah. It's like, no, well, these guys have played for months and months and years to get to the positions that they're in. And if you want to get there as well, then you have to make the time. And
at the end of the day, if you don't perform, you know, Colin, you can come in on this. If you don't perform throughout the year, you know, you're not going to get contracts re-signed. You're not going to get another salary for the year. And that's the reason why these guys are obviously playing for clubs, getting invites to events, because they've got to keep at a very high level. And as you said, Colin, they're there for a reason.
Exactly. And, you know, if a player goes out and you see, so say you like see a player and you're like, man, why does this guy keep getting invited to tournaments? He keeps getting grouped again and again and again. It's like, well, then at some point he's going to get dropped by his organization, because you can only come up with those sorts of results for so long before players have to get dropped. It's a business, you know, and part of the business of competitive FIFA is winning tournaments, and that it's a results-based business in the same way that football is, in the same way that any other esport is.
You speak of organisations. Ryan, you recently moved organisations to #United. What were your thoughts behind that move?
Well, it's just, I guess, mind-blowing, because from when I only started playing competitively, I think it was towards the end of April. So just jumping straight from, I guess, a casual FIFA player to signing for # is just incredible.
And going obviously back to the roots, you could say, obviously you used to play for XL Stacks.
Yeah.
Was the name. Me and Rich were lucky enough to commentate on one of your first major tournaments.
Yeah.
Obviously the one in Munich, the FIFA Interactive World Cup last year. I think we talked to you via that game, but let's go back over it again against Maestro. I think, was you 2-0 down?
Yeah, I was 2-0 down. I was distraught. But then I thought to myself, I've been here before and I can bounce back from this.
And how was that tournament for you? Obviously, first of all, getting to travel, you know, it's still in Europe, of course, but to another country. Obviously, playing in a very difficult LAN event. Obviously, you can talk to me about that. You know, what's the big differences of playing at a LAN? But, you know, how was it to you know what, I booked my ticket in London.
It was just crazy, because I remember going there in Munich just thinking to myself, okay, all I want to do is score a goal. That's all I want to do. I didn't even think I could win a game. And to get that far is just incredible, and to win the final in that manner as well. It was entertaining to watch, but it was nerve-wracking.
And what's the main, obviously you're playing at an actual event, and you know there's different delays and different kind of conditions you have to play with. How was it, you know, kind of transferring from playing the comforts of your own home to that LAN event?
It was extremely different, because there are cameras in front of you, there's an audience, and it was just completely different, because I play in my room just by myself, segregated from my family, just playing the Weekend League. And it was just crazy. Even the difference in the gameplay, which I think was a major problem last year in FIFA 17, because we played on the Esports edition compared to the actual game, it was horrible to get used to.
And obviously, Rich, we were lucky enough to commentate on it, but I think what was interesting there was that they were playing on the Esports edition, weren't they? So they could pretty much use any player they wanted.
Yeah, every single player in the game was available up to a certain cut-off day. So my question is to Ryan.
Yeah.
If you've got every single player available, did you change your squad at all, or do you think, I've qualified with this squad, so I'm going to keep this squad? I know Bullock, he used the SBC Torres.
Yeah, that's
because
Torres.
He said, I've used it online, I know it's good, I'm going to use it here.
Yeah. For me, going into the tournament, I didn't really have a team that was that great. I had a Premier League team, albeit I had Team of the Year Ronaldo, who I had for ages, but he was the only player.
He kind of helps.
Yeah, I had to bring him off of the bench, like from the first whistle. But having a team like that, going into a tournament, knowing everyone is going to be using the Team of the Year, Suarez, Messi, Ronaldo, Ramos, etc., I had to change my team just to match them.
And obviously, when did the kind of the talk start of #United?
It started on the final day of the FIWC 2017 when I was speaking to Spencer. We're just discussing it. And
did you have a good feeling then? Was you thinking, right, I could be onto something here?
Yeah, definitely, because I didn't think I had a great tournament, and I think it was. I can't even blame the game. I think it was just down to me. It was my mentality in the tournament.
Do you feel like there was a lot of pressure on, maybe not yourself, but a lot of the English boys?
English players, yeah.
100%, especially on Tass, for example. Tass had so much pressure on him from the fans, from... Not necessarily, I don't think # would put that pressure on him because they don't with any of us. They support us throughout the whole way, but having that many fans all thinking, okay, because before that you'd have polls on who do you think would win, and Tass would just win by a landslide.
Yeah.
It can affect you.
And to link in with that, did you know, I'm sure like everyone was pretty fair, but was you surprised by how good, the Americas players were? Or did you kind of knew that, they were going to be that good anyway? Because there was a lot of, people saying, oh, these guys, they're not going to do anything and stuff. And me and Rich, we were lucky enough to see them in LA maybe 2 months before that. And we were like, these guys, they score goals for fun. It's going to be interesting to see how they play up against each other. But do you have anything to say about them guys?
I think in terms of the Twitter base of pro players from, I guess, the Europe scene, the way they look, I don't respect the way they look down on the rest of world players and North American players and South American players. I don't think it's fair because before the tournament I was practicing with Joey. He's just signed for New York City.
New York City.
Yeah, he's just signed for New York City, and I was practicing with him, and I just thought, wow, just the way he plays, you'd think the way people talk about, I guess, American players, you'd think he's not that good. He was a fantastic player, one of the best I've played. And even in the group stage, I'm not really sure of his name. It was Sabari.
The Japanese guy.
He was insane. Probably the best player I've played. Like, he was absolutely incredible.
Well, the last big point of the FIXFifa, I'd say, is the matchmaking discussion. Rich, there's a number of rumours saying that there's some sort of server in Frankfurt that is helping the German players. But if we think about this, Rich, logistically, how many German players were in major finals last year?
I mean...
Loads.
A lot, yeah. I brought it back to you were just speaking at FIWC then. In the Xbox final and the PlayStation final, 3 of the 4 players were German, I believe. Cody the finisher, Dito and Timox, all German players. So clearly the German community of FIFA players, and then obviously the Gorilla as well, they are not dominating, but they dominated that tournament. A lot of people said it's going to be a German winner. Gorilla came out in the end over Dito, but I think, I'm not really sure. I think the players, it's a very hard one to put your finger on because we don't know if there is a server in Frankfurt and there is an advantage. Clearly that needs to be addressed.
Well, maybe Colin, have your players come to you at any point over the last few weekends saying that there is an issue, or?
No, I mean, like, we're aware of the issues when it comes to countries like Spain and Italy, because those countries have significant, like, it's like playing on a different game for those guys. Yeah. And I think it's the same for a lot of the South Americans as well. And you can even see that in a lot of their weekend league performances. Like Insa, our Italian player, we've seen him play in Italy, and it is a different game. They have to play on a pretty good amount of delay because there's just also not a lot of high-speed internet connections there as well. I mean, there's a point to, yes, I think there are fewer top-level players in countries like Spain and Italy compared to Germany, but I don't think it's that much of a disparity where you should only have maybe like one player coming out of each country.
I think there was someone came out to Twitter, I'm not sure what player it was, but they said, what's happened, because a few years back it was the Spanish scene that was dominating, and now it's kind of the German, it's kind of shifted over to the German scene. Is that just maybe less players playing, or would you say it is because of
I think as well, feeding into that is just Germany was kind of the first country to embrace competitive FIFA as well. If you think about it, Manchester City came in and West Ham came in, but if you think about how quickly the German clubs came in and how well Schalke and Wolfsburg have acquitted themselves as esports organizations, in my opinion, they've done a really good job. And I think they're motivating their players to, practice and to be a part of the club and to always be at their best level. And it's no secret that Timox is one of the best players in the world. Dito is one of the best players in the world. Mo Aubameyang. There's so many players over there that are just so good that you can't really deny that. It's like I said, it's a results-based business, and when German players are getting to that many finals, it's not really a secret.
And obviously, I feel like Holland, they deserve a shout. Netherlands, obviously, they've got a nice little setup over there, and they've got a number of players playing at a very good level as well. But Ryan, I do see some English players complaining about the matchmaking system as well. But then there's people like you and Shells and Tass, hitting 14 zeros. So how do you, deal with that?
To be honest, I think the matchmaking this year is flawed. I don't think it's fair, because there are top 100 players who you can literally just dodge an opponent easily by just speaking to them before, knowing what kits they have, and just backing out. Or some people play home games, for example. Like a couple of weeks ago, I think it was last week actually, not the week that I got 40, but I think I got 37 the week before. I played all my games at home just because I don't like playing in someone else's stadium. It's not the fact of other pros. I don't really care about that.
You're just not a fan of an away though?
No, it's just the stadium, because some people use like the San Siro, for example, and the Shadow, and it's horrible. I can't play in it. I will lose. There's a good, but I think.
What is your stadium?
My stadium is the King Fahd Stadium.
King Fahd Stadium.
Yeah, because it doesn't rain as well, and I don't like playing in the rain on FIFA.
I think for me, with the matchmaking, I saw Andy AJ3 on Twitter, and he put the YouTube video up, and Tass and him had a little back and forth, and then in the YouTube video he showed Tass's results from the weekend where he did get 40-0, and the level of competition that he was playing against, a lot of gold 1, gold 2, elite 3 players.
Yeah.
But the way that I see that is, Manchester City right now are top of the Premier League. Manchester City every week don't have to play against Chelsea, Man United, Arsenal. They play against lesser opponents. They play against West Brom. They play against Huddersfield Town, Brighton and Hove Albion. Sorry, Brandon. They shouldn't. If I'm going 30-0 on weekend league, which hopefully will happen one day, I shouldn't be forced to playing against other Elite 1 top 100 players just because I'm doing well.
I completely agree with you.
It should be an open market.
Yeah, I think that matchmaking personally should be completely and utterly random. Literally, it should be completely random. You shouldn't be, I guess, punished in the sense of just because I'm 20-0, I have to play someone else who's 20-0 because
otherwise you would never have a good level of competition.
I guess it doesn't make sense, because the top 100 leaderboards would just be everyone with, say, 20 to 25 wins, because everyone's playing people with the same ranking. This matchmaking system, I guess it is flawed, and the way FUT Champion is, you can't make people play against people of the similar rank all the time. It's just not going to work.
As well, because there's just not, I think we talked about this before the pod as well, is there's not that many top 100 and elite players. Like, I'm sorry, a lot of these guys just aren't good enough. Like, if you're a gold rated player, then you're probably a gold rated player. Yeah. And, when it's probably only between 1 to maybe 5% at the absolute maximum of those elite to top 100 players, you can't really get mad at pros for going, 40-0 and only playing 3, because that's probably representative. That's more of a percentage of their games than is actually representative of the entire player base. There aren't that many good FIFA players that can compete with guys like Ryan and the guys at the top level.
Is it fair to say as well that I think it was, I don't know how many people are playing FUT Champs this year, but last year I think it was like 6 million. The chance of coming up against a top 100 player as well, it is very slim.
Top 100 out of 6 million, right? Yeah. Like, how are you not playing another top 100 player? Because there's only 99 other guys. Like, what do you expect?
If that was how the matchmaking did work, I think A, you'd be waiting hours to find a game, and B, I think the pros, for example, Ryan would be extremely annoyed if he matched up against Honey Badger in Australia, New Zealand, and had to play with like 4-second delay. Like, you can't help everybody. I think this issue is just helping the people who are Gold 1, maybe they've got 28 wins and they've got 2 games left, and they match up against Ryan and get battered 7-0.
And for anyone, you know, if we're not going to be pleasing everyone. I remember this is our own opinions, obviously, and obviously Ryan's as well. But you know, I was speaking to Man City's eSport manager the last few days ago, and he was just saying that I think, you know, Europe are very lucky because, you know, you go over to America, you go to the rest of the world. Some of those guys have to wait like, I've heard, between 20 to 30 minutes to find a game sometimes because of how kind of the matchmaking works out there. So, you know, to be able to get regular opponents basically every few seconds, yes, okay, you're not going to be happy with the matchmaking, but you're still getting a chance to play your 40 games in a quick succession.
But once again, it's going back to transparency. We don't know how matchmaking works. Is it on if I'm in Manchester and someone's in Liverpool and we match up against each other, is that how it's going to go on connectivity because we've got a better connection? Or is it on the ELO rating, which a couple of months ago a lot of people are doing videos about how it's on your record and you try to match it up with people with similar ELO rating. It's all about if we knew how it worked, people would then exploit it. That's why I don't think they release the information. Why should they release the information?
I mean, at the end of the day, they can release whatever they want, you know?
Yeah, like, it's their game.
There's nothing, and I think, so just bringing this to EA as a company, if you look at the whole Battlefront 2 thing that just happened, right, with microtransactions, where the community got together and said, we don't want this in the game, and the thing about that movement was there was tens, if not hundreds of thousands of fans coming out in hordes. 5,500, you compare that, you know, like, that's not what's going to get EA to move and change whatever you want changed in the game. And the thing is that, like, I think the only reason as well that EA ended up changing that was because Disney was down their backs, because Star Wars is obviously a very important IP for them. Whereas FIFA, I'm sorry, but everyone's always gonna buy FIFA, especially if you are a FIFA player, and so it's kind of hard for them to take people serious sometimes when it's like, okay, you say you have all these complaints, but you know, tomorrow you're gonna spend $800 when Black Friday comes out.
Hello listeners, it's producer Ben here. If you like what you're hearing, why not subscribe? Just go to @FUTChampionsPod on Twitter, drop a follow, and then you'll find all your subscription options in the pinned tweet. Oh, and also, while I've got you, why not check out this podcast, More Casual Older Brother, the FUT Weekly podcast, for in-depth reviews, Team of the Week rundown, content chat, and general FUT discussion.
So, Ryan, just another quick question. Do you think there's a kickoff glitch this year? And if it has, do you feel like it's been, as the game's come out, do you think it's been modified or changed?
There's 100% a kickoff glitch. It's disgusting. It's just.
Have you found a way around it though? Because I remember last year from kickoff, a lot of people played offside trap as soon as it kicked off, and it sort of nullified the threat a little bit.
This I don't think offside trap helps. Some people use it, and I just run straight through the defense.
I found just take a foul as soon as the first person runs past you, just slide, take the yellow card.
For me, I think the problem is from kickoff when your opponent's kicking off. Like your 2 centre mids, because I play the 4-1-2-1-2 narrow, my 2 wide centre mids are at the halfway line. So like when I want to press with somebody, I have to press my centre mids, and my striker pushes up as well. So there's just a massive gap. They're just basically in already on my CDM and my 2 centre backs. I don't. We
always hear about, you know, ways of how you can, you know, supposedly get rid of the kickoff glitch, and people say just make a foul, do the offside trap. And do you think there's a way? There is a certain way this year, or is it just kind of luck of the draw?
I think it's luck of the draw, if I'm honest. For me personally, I either take them out or I just try and run towards the wings with my 2 centimeters straight away. If they don't kick off straight away, I just switch to my centimeters and just try and spread them out as quickly as possible. Yeah. To negate them going to either wing.
So I don't even feel like it's a kick-off glitch though this year. I feel like it's a...
Yeah, it's not really a glitch. It's an exploit on the mechanics of the way the players are positioned.
Like if you remember the old FIFA, the old KSI kick-off glitch, like, that was a glitch. Back to the centre-back, launch it forward. This year it's like you get the ball from kick-off, and like I was playing weekend league last weekend. At least 3 times I went 1-0 down and scored within the next 5 minutes from kicking off, because you hold the ball and it's almost like it just feels a lot slicker for some reason. Like I don't know.
It's too easy from kickoff to score, and it's really demotivating because if you work, I guess, a nicely worked goal, passing, good skill moves, everything's perfect. You're celebrating, you're happy, and then from kickoff, bang, equalise, and it's horrible.
So we'll go on to some more brighter notes now in the podcast. There's, for anyone that is still listening, make sure you get involved. Hashtag FUTChampsPod to give us your thoughts on obviously the FIXFifa discussion. This is all our honest views and opinions. Obviously, we love the game of FIFA, so fingers crossed it does stay around for many more years. Ryan, we just want to talk to you about obviously your hashtag now. First of all, let's talk about the hashtag HQ. What a great idea it has been for it to come in and to get yourself in one of those areas where everyone's got the same goals as you, the same aspirations, everyone's 100% motivated to do well. When did the idea come about to get the hashtag HQ?
Well, Spencer's been talking about it for the last couple of months, and I believe the headquarters we have now is temporary, just for this month until we get our actual main headquarters. But it's fantastic.
Is the plan down the line to maybe have like some kind of house?
Yeah, I believe that is the plan.
Nice one. Obviously, Colin, we spoke about it a little bit last year. How important is it to maybe for the specially qualifying months to have an area or a space where all the players can come and grind out their games?
I think it's incredibly important, especially when you have players that maybe are in a situation where their connection isn't ideal, like with our Italian player or, with any player that you get from a region that, maybe has some issues with matchmaking, having them in a dedicated area where they can have that 1 gigabyte up and down internet speed. I think that just gives the players as well a bit kind of confidence in the back of their head of not having to worry about disconnections and or losing connection or anything like that. And I think as well, just being in the same space as like you said, kind of people who have similar goals to you really helps motivate you, because at the end of the day, everyone around you is striving for the same thing. It's a little bit different, obviously, with a 1v1 esport compared to a 5v5 or something, but at the end of the day, you want your teammates to succeed just as much as you do.
I suppose it's better than playing in your house with your mum shouting at you to come do the dishwasher or something.
What's it like playing alongside, well, not alongside, but in the same room as the likes of Boras, Harry, Aggie? I've seen Spencer plays these games as well there. It's
incredible. I really just words can't explain, because, for example, this weekend I went down in many games, for example, by 2 goals in the first half, and I just had to. For me, it was hard to get the motivation back up because I was so demotivated. But having people like Ivan, Harry, August, Spencer, Faisal, George, everyone just behind me motivating me, it just pushes you to the next level.
And obviously, you're playing around big names like Aga and Boras and stuff. Sometimes you feel like, whoa, I'm around some really big guys in the scene, and kind of how does their preparation change for the weekend league compared to yours? Do everyone have certain conspiracies or ways they play the weekend league? Is it 5 games at a time? Is it 10 games at a time?
I know for Harry personally, he plays 5 on PlayStation just as a warm up, and then he goes into his 5 on Xbox and then keeps switching like that. Me personally, I play 4 games at a time, and I split it into 10 different sections, and I just play. I like to play in between. It's either 12 games or 16 games on a Friday, and 12 games on a Saturday, and then the rest for Sunday. I just like to spread it out, just to, I guess, give me time across the weekend.
Talk to me about Aggie. 120 from 120.
Insane.
What a beast!
Just absolutely incredible. I guess having him there as well is just so motivating, because you see him achieve the 40 and you think to yourself, okay, I can do it as well. You want to impress as well.
Is he a rager, or is he? I can see him being very composed.
Yeah, extremely composed. I think he knows that he should know how good he is at this game. He knows his ability. So when for example, if he goes down in a game, I think he knows he has the ability to bounce back and get back into that game.
I felt like when he was at PSG, he had quite a lot of pressure on him at big events. Yes, he qualified to get to them. Do you feel like there's maybe a change in this year, maybe that little bit more confidence, where do you reckon he could maybe do better this year?
100%. I think hashtag is it's like a massive family. They say if you don't qualify, I don't believe you'll be seen in a different way. I think they understand the demands of the game and competitive scene in FIFA, and they understand sometimes it doesn't go your way through disconnections, through anything, just the game just being unlucky, because there's no guarantees to win. You can play better than your opponent, there's no guarantees you're going to win for many other reasons.
And question for you, Colin, obviously you're part of Roma. Hashtag are an organisation as well. How important is it to keep getting these big organisations and football clubs involved in the FIFA scene?
Oh, it's incredibly important because, you know, the more influence and the more, you know, massive organizations, the more eyes we can get on the esport as well. And when the viewing figures go up, that's only going to be better for everyone, you know. And as I spoke about before, you know, that's when we get those venues filled, is when you get more teams and organizations, whether it be another, you know, team like Fnatic, where you can get maybe, you know, Liquid's obviously in already, but teams like Cloud9 and TSM and FaZe and Optic that just have that brand name recognition, or even more clubs like, you know, Manchester United, Chelsea, Arsenal, those types of clubs. So the more eyes on the sport, the better. And we're just glad that we, you know, along with Hashtag, could be two of kind of the leaders right now when it comes to FIFA esports.
Colin,
and kind of pushing the envelope.
I've got a question. Optic Gaming, probably the biggest organisation in esports, would you say? Recently just picked up a League of Legends team, Dota team, all esports. How long before they have a FIFA player? As we see Optic and then a FIFA name.
I just think they're waiting for Bullock to name his price. I think he's been holding out for so long on him. No, I'm not sure. I think that all of the big organizations have their eyes on it. They're just trying to find the right way to go into it, because it's really hard to properly know who's good, if that makes any sense, because there's so many players that are already signed, but there's also a load of free agents, and it's really hard to understand, especially in this free agency market and this early into a game, who would be worth the investment for someone like Optic, because Optic doesn't want to come in and pick up someone that maybe won one tournament and then never wins again.
Yeah. I think that's the issue that a lot of the big teams in football are having as well with the esports thing, because a lot of clubs say we want to hold out, we want to do it right, and you can see that, but at the same time, there's a time and a place, and I think you've got a good point there, Colin, saying that they're waiting for that consistent player to pick up, like the Aggers, the Boras, you know, the Ryans, you know, there's the Harrys, there's loads of people, obviously all your Roman boys as well, but it's tough, isn't it? It's when do you come in and when do you invest?
Exactly, and I think there's two different approaches as well. There's we're going to come in and spend the big bucks on a very consistent and well-known name, or there's the approach of we're going to go and find a younger player who maybe has the potential to be there and just invest in that player. And that's kind of like the route that we've gone down with some of our players, in my opinion. Like, obviously Poacher and Zima are both, you know, really well-known names in the community, but they're also, you know, they both just turned 18. So there's a lot of room there for, you know, kind of growing pains in certain ways. So, you know, if one of them doesn't qualify for a tournament, then it might be a different story if it was a 22 or 23-year-old player that, you know, is supposed to be guaranteeing you success every single month. So it's just, you have to definitely set out your expectations in the correct way. And I think expectation, that's the biggest thing. And Ryan already talked about it a bit when it comes to, like, you know, if he, you know, doesn't qualify this month or something for some reason, I don't think that, you know, he would feel like he was in danger of being dropped by his organization, just because they understand. And understanding is the biggest thing for FIFA pros at this moment, because if you go to a football club and, you know, you don't qualify for the biggest tournament of the year, they might think that, you know, oh, this is a massive failure, like, how could you do this? And in reality, it might have been because of a disconnection, or it might have been because of, you know, a poor officiating call by the FIFA refs.
And you look at all the other esports as well, you know, the amount of times that, you know, the players just off that little bit of margin where they can be the best. And I think it's the same with a lot of esports. There's a lot of understanding, you said, that needs to happen. But question for you, Ryan, you know, there's a lot of new players, new faces this year getting involved with the weekend league. Is that putting a bit more pressure on you? Do you feel when you're looking over your shoulders and you're seeing new names pop up in that top 100?
To be honest, not for me personally. I enjoy the competitiveness of FIFA. Like, I want to play against the best players just to see how I fare against them, like the Gorillas, the Kurt, who I believe Kurt is the best player from what I've experienced playing against him. Just playing against those type of players and competing with them, whether it be friendlies or in a tournament, is something that I want to happen.
Nice. And Rich, we've had a few questions in for Ryan, haven't we?
A lot of people getting in touch when they knew that you were going to be on the podcast. This one from Connor Smith. In your opinion, should Weekend League be extended, Ryan?
Wow. In my opinion, no. I don't believe it should be. I believe you should, if you want to compete at the highest level in FIFA or be competitive, whether professional or just competing, I think that you should have to make sacrifices. I don't believe it should be just there on a plate for you. I think you have to be able to make or want to make those sacrifices to move yourself to the next level. And I think keeping the Weekend League at like Friday to Monday morning. I think it's fine personally. I'm at university. I play 40 games. I play football. I go to the gym, swim, athletics, go out on Friday nights, and I still manage to have time to play 40, and I have spare time.
It's just time management, isn't it, at the end of the day?
Exactly.
How good you are at that. A question from Charlie Bishop. Favourite team and player? I'm guessing this is in real life.
Yeah, my favourite team is Arsenal.
Ooh.
Great weekend last week. Great.
We can lead on to some Arsenal topics as well.
Yeah. And my favourite player
Is it
is
Mr.
Thierry Henry, but as of right now,
Danny?
it could be my twin doppelganger. As of right now, that's a tough one, to be honest, because not a lot of Arsenal players have been performing that well. It might come as a shock, but I think either Kolasinac or Monreal. I think Monreal's been outstanding.
And what do you make of this whole Danny Welbeck?
I find it hilarious. I find it really. I find it's just funny.
Who was it that originally pointed out? Was it Aga or was it Harry?
I think it was on a video, because I remember when.
I remember when as well.
Yeah, when we signed, and then people in the comments were like hashtag signed Pato and Welbeck. They called Pato Aggie.
Pato's another shout out. Yeah,
I've not seen that before.
Yeah, I find it hilarious. It's just a laugh. It's just Twitter. It's funny.
And any other questions, Rich?
Yeah, this one from Samuel. On FUT Champions, what's one tip that you could give to ensure that you can get more wins and maybe take a player from Gold 1 to Elite 3?
I think the number one most important thing is to make sure you spread out your games. Don't just rush through your games, because last year I used to play all of my 40 games on a Saturday, and it was the worst thing to do. Now I know to spread out my games evenly. I spread out in 4 games, as I said. My results have just gone through the roof. And also, when you lose a game, make sure you come off. Don't play the next game. You have to take a break.
That's a question as well. How do you? Because we feel it as a casual player as well. When you lose that first game, you're joking around and saying this is the time I'm going to get a 40-0. You get that first win or that second win, and your head really does drop. How do you pick yourself up?
It happened to me in the first week of this month. The first game actually. So I was coming off a 40-0 the week before, and I was thinking, okay, I can get back to back. I'm feeling good. And my first game, my opponent quit on the team sheet, and I got a loss. And I just couldn't believe it. I just had to sit back, and I just thought, if I go into my next game, I know I'm going to lose, no matter who I play against. My mind frame's not there. So I just took about an hour or 2 hours break and just went back into it, and it just worked for me.
And
that's one of the. I was just going to say, that's one of the biggest tips we found for our players as well, is just to stop after losses.
Yeah.
Because when you're undefeated, your mentality, I think it's easier to keep your mentality up, because you're just like, keep going, one game at a time, keep winning. But the second you lose one, all of a sudden you put a lot more pressure on yourself, I think. You're just like, I have to win every single game now,
Yeah.
Whereas before you were just like, one game at a time. You're like, oh, I have to win all this to get 39-1, and then you might lose another one. Oh, I have to win all of these to get 38-2. So I think, just like resetting your mindset after a loss just makes it so much better.
And obviously, big thank you to everyone for getting involved with their questions. We'll obviously do the same every week. And cheers for answering them, Ryan. We got one more point, or one more little talking point before we end week 2 of the FUT Champs pod. Team of the week's come out. It's Team of the Week number 10. You're a famous ex-Arsenal player's in there. He's on the bench.
Adebayor. Oh god.
But anyone else that's pointing out there, I know we'll come to Colin for the Roma man that's in there as well. But you got Mustafi in there as well, 87 rated.
Yeah, beautiful header, great performance over the weekend.
I'm looking at that Cam Hazard. What a player that's going to be. Get him up to striker.
Oh, it's just an amazing team. I'm a bit disappointed there's no Luis Suarez. I already built a concept team with him in there, but it's a great team of the week. Hopefully, I can pack at least one of them.
And there will be a lot of packs open on Black Friday. So.
And Colin, do you think people will resist this Black Friday deals, or are they all going to come out and try and get a 9 going?
No, I don't think anyone's going to resist them. To be honest, it's just There's just too. I think when you're on the forums and you're all excited, and then when you're holding the controller in your hands, sitting in front of the screen, it's 2 very different people. You're just like, oh, maybe I'll just do $20 worth, and then all of a sudden you're 24k deep, and you still haven't even packed Informa Cardi yet, and that's how they get you. So
they do. And I think that nearly wraps up everything today on the podcast. So a big thank you for coming on, Ryan, and well done obviously on the qualifying month so far. One more weekend Yeah,
best of luck.
How are you going into this one then? Is it again 40-0, same as before?
Aiming for 40 as always. I've got a bit of a cushion, but that doesn't matter to me. It's never over.
And any other words from you boys?
Just thank you for Ryan coming on the podcast. Thank you for
inviting me.
You're welcome. Thank you for the support on last week's podcast, and hopefully we tackled the debate of FIXFifa.
We do. Obviously, make sure you do get in touch as well, Colin. I hope you pack a 9 going somehow.
Knowing my pack luck, I'll probably pack a couple.
Yeah.
If you have enjoyed the show, make sure you do subscribe. YouTube, iTunes, Mixcloud. Use the hashtag FootChampsPod. This is a weekly competitive FIFA podcast dedicated to you guys, the community. So let us know what you like. Let us know what you don't like. Hopefully listen to this while you're playing your Foot Champs games, and maybe we've helped you onto a few wins. If you do want to get involved in the show, do tweet us. And until next time, enjoy your weekend, and we'll catch you later. Bye-bye. Brian, is there a kickoff glitch? I think he might have dropped. I think his internet's dropped.
Dropped out of the
Right. Get him back.
What a true FIFA player disconnecting like that.